So far apart.
Morning, Larry.
Good morning, Chancellor.
Good morning. Morning. Hey, Michael.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming today. My name is Larry Schwartz. I'm Secretary to Governor Cuomo. Today we are joined by several esteemed guests and partners in New York State government. I'd like to introduce them. Senator Hugh Farley, Assemblyman John McEnany, Assemblyman James Tedesco, Albany County Executive Dan McCoy, Mayor of Albany Jerry Jennings, SUNY Chancellor Nancy Zimpher, and also Deputy Secretary for Policy Manager Jim Malatras. Here today to present the SUNY Albany's proposal for New York SUNY 2020, George Phillip, President of the University at Albany, Susan Phillips, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs at the University at Albany, Tamara Miner, Chief Diversity Officer at the University at Albany, Richard Pyle, Director of Weather Critical Energy, Visala, and Michael Tucker, President and CEO, Center for Economic Growth. After I speak, we will hear briefly from Governor Cuomo and then Chancellor Zimpher. SUNY Albany will then present their SUNY 2020 proposal. They will be followed by comments from the Governor, Senator Farley, Assemblyman McEnany, and Chancellor Zimpher. But first, on behalf of Governor Cuomo and the Executive Chamber, I would like to congratulate Chancellor Zimpher, Chairman McCall, and all the dedicated SUNY staff for SUNY's recent ranking among the top public colleges and universities in the country. Through New York SUNY 2020, Governor Cuomo is leading the way on two of New York's most significant issues, education and economic development, by showing how one is dependent on the other. Last year, the University of Buffalo and Stony Brook was successfully awarded grants for plans that were equally as ambitious, and SUNY Binghamton presented their proposal last April. I know the governor and his administration look forward to continuing our partnership with SUNY and are excited to see this plan come to fruition. It is now my always great privilege and honor, always.
That's right. Stress always.
To introduce the great governor of our great state, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank the Secretary for his very kind introduction and words. It's always a pleasure to be with the Secretary, obviously. Chancellor Zimpher, our colleagues in the legislature, Senator Farley, Assemblyman McEnany, pleasure to be with you. SUNY Albany, pleasure to have you here today. Our local officials, your name, young man, and this Mayor of Albany, yes. And County Executive Dan McCoy, pleasure to have you here. This is a very exciting day for us. It's an exciting topic. The progress that SUNY has been making in a relatively short period of time is nothing short of remarkable. And it is a critically important institution to this government and to this state. First, SUNY as a vehicle of education and access to education, affordable education. It educated an entire middle class in the state of New York. So their value as an educational institution in and of itself is paramount. And our activities have then been on basically a dual thrust. How do you increase the educational capacity, and how do you use this magnificent educational institution as an economic engine? And more we find the successful, the high-performing educational institutions across the country do both. They are vehicles of education, they are vehicles of economic development. And those missions have merged over the years, and it's a relatively recent trend. The states, the regions that are doing well economically, are those that are being fueled by those higher ed institutions. And the topic that you're going to talk about today, technology transfer, I think is one of the real critical tasks for this state. If you look at lost opportunities in economic development for the state of New York, especially in upstate New York, where SUNY is so present, we lose in this technology transfer area. The numbers are just damning, frankly, to the state of New York. We attract something like 4% of the nation's venture capital. California attracts 47% of the nation's venture capital. Milliken Report has us like number 16 in terms of states that are excelling at technology transfer. So this is the challenge for us. This really is the bullseye of where we need to get, and it is an art form, the technology transfer. Obviously, states are doing it better than New York, but our goal is to catch up and catch up quickly, and we think that SUNY is a vital engine in that recovery. So making SUNY the best educational institution in the nation, and we'll start with the nation, Chancellor, and we'll go from there. Best educational institution in the nation, and also the economic driver that it can be, that dual mission, unified and strengthened through the SUNY system. And your technology transfer proposal is right on mark. So we're excited to hear it. It's been a pleasure for the team to work with you up until today. And with that, I will turn it over to the incomparable Chancellor Nancy Zimpher. Chancellor.
Well, Governor, your vision and your foresight in creating NY SUNY 2020 is really making all the difference. I want to thank you personally. I know that Lieutenant Governor Duffy has been right there all along. For those of you who know how this has been working, the first iteration of NY SUNY 2020, which the governor announced 2 years ago, has been feeding our 4 university centers. And he had the vision to take a second round of NY SUNY 2020 so that our other 60 campuses could compete for investment in their role in economic development. So I just want to say that the opportunity to lead such a large and comprehensive system and to have the governor of the state call on us to be that economic engine, to use the power of SUNY to revitalize this state is just an incredible privilege, and we're proud of it, and we're proud to take on that charge. So that is the charge, that we be this economic engine. And then there's the core idea, which is brought about by people. So I certainly want to acknowledge President George Phillip. What a pleasure it has been to serve with George. You all know him. He's quite the leader, and he is passionate about the University at Albany, and you'll hear that from George and his team. You now know that George will pass the mantle of leadership to Dr. Robert Jones starting January 1, 2013, and he too will carry on the vision of today, this core idea of creating the entrepreneurial environment, Governor, to eclipse other states in tech transfer so that we can be not only national, but international. So the last thing I want to say is it does take a process. We have a great partnership with the executive, with the governor, with his team, with the legislature. So I thank the presence of the legislature here today, with business and industry, so that our students and our researchers and our alumni and our business partners can really create this entrepreneurial environment that will allow us to be the leader in tech transfer. So with that privilege, I now turn the program over to President George Phillip. Thank you, Governor.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chancellor. On behalf of the entire University at Albany community and our Capital Region supporters, I would like to thank you, Governor Cuomo, for championing this landmark legislation and providing UAlbany the opportunity to present transformational NY SUNY 2020 plan. I also want to thank Lieutenant Governor Duffy, Speaker Silver, Majority Leader Skelos, as well as the chairs of the Higher Education Committees, Senator LaValle and Assembly Member Matt Click, Chancellor Zimpher, and the members of the SUNY Board of Trustees and the SUNY officials who are present here today. A special thanks to Senators Breslin, Farley, and McDonald, Assembly Majority Leader Canestrari, and Assembly Members McEnany and Riley, Albany Mayor Jennings, and Albany County Executive McCoy. On a personal note, I would also like to give a special thanks to Jim Malatras, the Governor's key point person on this initiative, for his hard work and invaluable contributions. Jim is obviously well-educated and incidentally a proud 3-time UAlbany alum. With me today are representatives from UAlbany, the Capital Region, and the business leaders who stand to benefit and grow as a result of our NY SUNY 2020 plan and the impact that it will have on our community and our region. We have our Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Susan Phillips, the university's Chief Diversity Officer, Tamara Miner, one of our corporate partners, Richard Pyle, a senior officer with Vizsla and a UAlbany alumnus, and the President and CEO of the Center for Economic Growth, Michael Tucker, who is also a member of the Capital Region Economic Development Council. Last year, the governor and the legislature enacted what is arguably the most historic reform for SUNY since Nelson Rockefeller. And without a question, the governor and our state leaders deserve our gratitude and praise. Today, we are proud to share how our university is ready to capitalize on the landmark NY SUNY 2020 Challenge Grant Program to build our academic enterprise and further drive the economy of the Capital Region and the state of New York. Our 5-year blueprint will advance cutting-edge research and technology and translate it into economic opportunity, continue to bolster the Capital Region's economy, and increase academic opportunity for every student at UAlbany. Our NY SUNY 2020 plan is exciting, innovative, transformational, and economically beneficial both to the university and our region. We're pleased to have this opportunity to unveil this initiative and some of the major impacts our plan will have in the years ahead. First, let me address the economic benefits. At the center of our plan is the Emerging Technology and Entrepreneurship Complex, what we call ETech. This R&D complex will serve as an innovation center designed to harness UAlbany's research capacity in emerging technologies by accelerating cooperative R&D, technology transfer, business development, and workforce training. We are currently a powerhouse of science and technology research. Last year, the University at Albany faculty generated $450 million in research expenditures. While we have achieved much, there is much to be done to convert our research capacity into direct and sustainable economic impact. ETech will provide an opportunity for the Empire State to become a national leader. ETech will serve as a breakthrough entrepreneurial ecosystem with a critical mass of business development resources, including technology transfer expertise, entrepreneurial training, small business development, commercialization services, and workforce preparation. This innovation hub will preserve pathways between researchers, entrepreneurs, and investors with state-of-the-art facilities and business development expertise. It will serve as a front door for industry to global leading R&D clusters and a portal for researchers, students, and investors to collaborate as research and business partners. From this ecosystem will come a new breed of entrepreneurs and technology ready for the market. ETech's front door will enable direct access to the university's global leading co-located innovation and research clusters, and a cross-sector sandbox that will foster collaboration among innovators, business investors, and customers. Specifically, ETech will build upon 4 national leading transformational research clusters, including atmospheric and environmental sciences, biomedical science and biotechnology, forensic science and cybersecurity, and advanced data and analytics. Now I'd like to ask our Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Susan Phillips, to discuss these transformative R&D clusters in greater detail and the overall impacts of our plan.
Thank you, President Phillip. The first signature R&D cluster the university will pursue in ETech is the atmospheric and environmental prediction. This cluster is a globally emerging scientific discipline in which the university is an international leader. The ETech entrepreneur-focused environment in this cluster will accelerate the development of clean energy systems, help climate and weather-sensitive industries make smarter decisions, and ensure that government can optimally prepare and respond to natural disasters. Second, ETech will pursue advances in biomedical and biotechnology treatments for a range of diseases and disorders, including neurodegenerative diseases, infectious disease, and cancer. In doing so, ETech will foster technology development and job growth in the pharmaceutical and biotechnology industries. Third, ETech will build on the university's internationally recognized strength in crime scene forensics technology, counterterrorism, and homeland security research. And fourth, ETech will build upon the university's strength in developing analytic techniques and computational tools aimed at helping New York-based industries compete in an increasingly information technology, data-driven economy. ETech's industry partners and private spin-off enterprises have already expressed interest in partnering and collaborating with the university and its New York SUNY 2020 initiative. These companies include Vaisala, AWS TruePower, Miso, Neurocell, Earth Risk Technologies, to name a few. This R&D center will go far to strengthen collaborations with the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering, especially in the areas of biotechnology, instrumentation, environmental sensors, and solar energy research. ETech will be constructed and located on the main campus of the university, adjacent to our life sciences research complex. This high-tech innovation center will consist of 225,000 square feet for laboratories, classrooms, and business development offices. The university will co-locate its transformative research clusters with businesses and commercialization support to maximize external research funding and technology development opportunities. The project cost is estimated at $165 million. Upon all the approvals being in place, we anticipate the project to kick off in 2013 with expected completion in 2017. As is our standard practice, the university will continue to adhere to strict standards of accountability and transparency in the implementation of our New York SUNY 2020 plan. UAlbany activities will also be subject to existing New York State statutes related to conflict of interest and also to the SUNY Board of Trustees resolution adopted pursuant to the New York SUNY 2020 Act. The impacts of the University at Albany's New York SUNY 2020 plan are many and truly transformative. On the economic front, our initiative will create 1,587 new construction jobs, contributing to growing the capital region economy. Our plan will create a total of 735 permanent jobs, including 187 faculty positions, 355 research support staff, and 193 campus support positions. This is in addition to the jobs created from public-private research partnerships. Our new faculty hires and additional investments in our university's research portfolio will bring significant returns over the next 5 years, including adding $117 million in research expenditures. These dollars each have a multiplier effect on our economic impact by creating a cycle of growth which leads to more market-ready technology and more entrepreneurs. We build on our university-wide strategic plan and call for students in every college and school to benefit from the new faculty hires in areas of strength and opportunity. These areas cut across 6 strategic areas: environmental and economic sustainability, human health and biomedical sciences, emerging technology, business and entrepreneurship, public service and policy, and liberal arts and sciences. As we invest in new faculty and grow the enterprise, we will also make significant improvements in the academic experience. We will add course offerings by adding 700 new courses. We'll improve graduation rates by 7% and reduce the need for a 5th year. This will result in 100 additional students graduating each year. We will grow enrollment by 1,350 new students over the next 5 years, and we will provide new research opportunities and training of entrepreneurship for both faculty and students.
Thank you, Provost Phillips. I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Tamara Miner, Chief Diversity Officer at the University at Albany.
Thank you, President Phillip. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to be with you today to discuss the university's New York SUNY 2020 plan and some of the plan's benefits associated with access, diversity, and inclusion in our minority and women business-owned enterprise efforts. In order to ensure that those students with high financial need have an opportunity to attend college, we will increase the amount of financial assistance available by providing the prorated tuition credits for TAP-eligible students. Under this program, an amount equal to 30% of the undergraduate tuition increase, $5.2 million, will be set aside for eligible UAlbany students. We will increase the level of merit-based financial assistance by $2.5 million to programs including our Carson Carr and Frederick Douglass scholarship programs. This is above and beyond the TAP credit program. Our New York SUNY plan goes far to create greater access for students as well as provide our students with stronger supports and richer pathways to achieving lifelong success. At UAlbany, we especially take pride in our rich diversity. It is a source of strength and distinctiveness. Our faculty and students represent over 100 nationalities and a wide array of cultures and religions. Our student body comprises 25% people of color, and with the guidance from our President's Council on Diversity, our New York SUNY 2020 plan is committed to further developing a more culturally inclusive and supportive campus environment for all students, faculty, and staff. We will also continue to build upon and strengthen our minority and women-owned business enterprise outreach efforts, setting a goal of 25% for all New York SUNY 2020 contracts. We will achieve this goal by hosting on-campus vendor fairs showcasing our MWBE vendors, advertising in MWBE publications, assisting MWBE firms with certification, and ensuring subcontractors meet their MWBE objectives. Overall, I believe you can see how New York SUNY 2020 plan goes far to strengthen and enhance our diversity and inclusion efforts at the University at Albany. By creating a richer environment for our entire campus community and fortifying the support programs and pathways available to our students, faculty, and staff, UAlbany's New York SUNY 2020 plan will truly help put the world within reach. Thank you for providing us this opportunity to address these critical issues of our New York SUNY 2020 plan.
Thank you, Dr. Miner. I am pleased to introduce Richard Pyle, class of '83 at the University at Albany, and Director of Weather Critical Energy at Vaisala, a global environmental observation measurement and solutions company.
Thank you, President Phillip. Again, my name is Richard Pyle, a proud UA alumnus. I'm also the Director of Weather Critical Energy at Vaisala, a global environmental observation and technology-based company. Vaisala is a 75-year-old Finnish-based corporation with 1,500 employees and over $350 million in revenue from over 140 countries. The company provides a wide range of innovative observation and measurement products and solutions for meteorology, weather-dependent businesses, and controlled environments. My story is unique and now coming full circle to thanks to the NY SUNY 2020 Challenge program. Following my graduation from the University in Albany in 1983, I immediately began working on a research and development team on the UAlbany campus, which eventually led to licensing of pioneering technology. We had the entrepreneurs, we had the idea, we had the good fortune of being successful despite the inordinate number of challenges we faced. We were, however, working in the wild, wild west. Our business efforts were uninformed. We operated in an environment that was not set up to nurture technology transfer, and the supports were not in place to encourage scientists to be entrepreneurial. As a result, the commercialization of our groundbreaking invention took over 10 years, much longer than what was necessary. Today, this technology generates over $20 million per year in economic activity for Vaisala in over 80 countries. But the University NY SUNY 2020 proposal offers a new and better way forward. ETEC's goal of transforming discoveries from research clusters like atmospheric and environmental science into commercially viable technologies and solutions is exactly the environment in which Vaisala wants to play. With NY SUNY 2020 serving as the catalyst, we envision this entrepreneurial research hub benefiting renewable energy, transportation, insurance, and disaster management, because of the prediction algorithms, applications, systems, and technologies that E-Tech will help develop. Because of the NY SUNY 2020 program, VISLA, with its global reach, together with the university, will be pursuing joint research and discovery, innovative solutions, technology and sensor development, and workforce preparation and training to address the atmospheric and environmental science challenges of tomorrow, both here in New York and potentially reaching places around the world. Thanks to the NY SUNY 2020 Challenge grant program, I'm not only reconnected to my alma mater, but VISLA and the university are poised to enter into a joint partnership to pursue opportunities that will leverage the entrepreneurial ecosystem of E-Tech. To this end, VISLA looks forward to developing R&D initiatives at the University of Albany, pursuing industry-relevant workforce training programs, launching a multi-institutional consortium addressing the business, public policy, and technology development challenges of atmospheric and environmental science, bringing the result of our work together to the global economy, and much more. Governor, I want to add my thanks to you and those around the table today. VISLA sees great promise in the university's NY SUNY 2020 plan and E-Tech. We are proud to be part of this endeavor, and we know that this would not be possible without your leadership and support.
Thank you, Richard. Finally, I am pleased to introduce Michael Tucker, a good friend of the university who is president and CEO of the Center for Economic Growth and a member of the Capital Region Economic Development Council.
Thank you, George. And thank you, Richard. Your story is exactly why the Capital Region Economic Development Council unanimously approved the New York SUNY 2020 initiative as a transformational project. And there has been tremendous outpouring of community support for this initiative. Over 300 Capital Region leaders participated in business and education forums, and thousands of supporters, UAlbany advocates and friends, got behind our university in support of NY SUNY 2020. And the reason is very straightforward. The university's plan leverages the benefits of the NY SUNY 2020 program to generate a total job impact of over 2,300 jobs and the cumulative economic impact of nearly $1.8 billion right here in New York's capital region. Thanks to the NY SUNY 2020 program, the university's plan is clearly an economic win for our regional council, our great public research university, UAlbany, and the capital region as a whole. In closing, Governor, on behalf of the capital region business community, I would like to take a moment to thank you for your leadership and vision in championing this 2020 initiative.
Thank you, Michael, for your steadfast support. In closing, I again want to thank you, Governor Cuomo, Chancellor Zimfer, and the entire legislative delegation for advancing NY SUNY 2020 Challenge Grant Program. For the first time since the 1960s, UAlbany will be able to implement a thoughtful and integrated 5-year high-impact growth plan based on predictable revenue assumptions. At the University at Albany, we stand ready and eager to implement our NY SUNY 2020 plan so that we can hire more faculty, increase our research funding, graduate more students, drive our regional economy, and fulfill our mission as one of the 4 flagship university centers in the SUNY system. Thank you once again for providing us with this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much, President Phillip and your entire team for an impressive presentation, and we thank you. Let me ask a couple of questions, if I might, and then the Larry Schwartz or the Senator or the Assemblyman, if they'd like to ask questions or have comments. Jim Malatras, I would ask, but he's going to be conflicted out of this process now. And we'll discuss his education at a later time, President. As I said in my opening comments, technology transfer is in many ways the entire ball game for the state. And we've spent a lot of time focusing on this area, and we're going to be redesigning the state's overall efforts when it comes to tech transfer. And we're in the midst of that now. We've been speaking to a number of people, national experts. The Chancellor and I were together at a presentation in New York City on tech transfer where we brought people in from across the country. And we're working on a number of approaches. It's one of those areas where it becomes very amorphous. You know, tech transfer becomes almost everything now, right? It's a synonym for economic development, and everything becomes tech transfer. And I thought the presentation was impressive. But let me ask the question this way. What do you believe was lacking? What was the issue? What was missing in facilitating these types of transfers? And how will this program address that void? You know, I think it's also that simple, right? This can be very complex or very simple. There's something we were not doing here. A function, a task, an orientation, some people say a culture that existed in other states, in other schools, in other governments, in other institutions, that doesn't exist in New York. Why does the VC money go to California and not to New York? You know, why do the young entrepreneurs think they have to leave New York? There's something that we're missing, and I mean that all of us collectively. What do you think that was, and how will this program address that?
One of the biggest areas that we did not have was really an appropriate infrastructure within the state of New York to foster this sort of economic development. E-Tech, this entire process is actually designed to create that infrastructure. You don't have to go to Silicon Valley or 128 in Boston in order to achieve that infrastructure. We'll have all of the tools that are necessary for an entrepreneur to develop their idea, to commercialize their idea, to patent the idea, to make it create a viable work plan, because we're going to have all of these resources available to the entrepreneur. So we will build that infrastructure that will enable people to not only develop the technology, but grow the businesses in New York State.
Mr. Pyle, what would you say was, when we're telling the story about when you started out with the company, what would you say was the biggest obstacle when you were just getting started, or the obstacles when you were just getting started?
I think there were two main obstacles. One was the mindset within the university environment to understand that intellectual property could actually be created into an economic entity. So it was viewed as almost as intellectual property, not as a catalyst for economic growth. So that fundamental understanding and recognition wasn't there. And then there wasn't the framework to take that little germ of an idea and say, okay, you need to create a business plan. There are legal implications. You need to train people to be able to use this. So this whole infrastructure at that time as a university reached out to the business community to get their ideas and cultivating this plan. What do we need to do in order to create that kind of infrastructure and ecosystem? So they've reached out quite a bit to do that.
Michael, did you have
has been the ability to leverage partnerships and to build new partnerships. And we've broken down a lot of silos, not only within government, but within business and academia over the last 14 or 15 months. And I think that the opportunity to take tech transfer, to better engage the business community with our educational institutions, and to work together in a more collaborative partnership to make our region in particular a destination of choice. And the key to tech transfer is really that it also helps small businesses. It helps the supply chain companies. It helps our existing manufacturing and technology companies not only to be more cutting edge, but to provide goods and services to the new businesses that are undertaking these initiatives. And I think that the regional council process is one of the things that was missing that will bring an extra element of success to this initiative.
Is there a synergy at all with this, with the Nanotech Center? You know, we have such an investment there, and it's been a great success, but it's such an amazing facility. Is there a connection on what this would be doing with Nanotech in any way?
Absolutely. We anticipate, first of all, that co-location model that's been so successful at Nano will be a model that we can use in this particular enterprise. there's a tremendous overlap in terms of the technologies that we're pursuing. Nanomedicine, nanobio, we're looking at in those environments. There is absolute synergy to the work for the work that they're doing, which is developing this cutting-edge new technology that, frankly, will be good for the New York State for the next 20 years, and what we're going to be doing. And hopefully our infrastructure in terms of commercialization will be available to them as well.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Senator?
Thank you, Governor. Let me applaud you again for having the foresight to bring Albany into this plan. It hasn't been mentioned, but this completes the four-legged stool that for all the university centers, and it is truly, I've heard this word economic engine used a lot, and it is truly something that is going to happen in this area. In my judgment, as a longtime law professor at the University of Albany and a graduate of there, I have a personal interest and a love for the school, but it is truly the crown jewel of the capital region. And incidentally, it was just brought up, the Nanotech College is the envy of the world. The envy of the world. Everywhere you go, they talk about that. You know, what we're doing here today, and it shows your foresight, it's like spreading bread upon the waters. It's going to come back and return dividends, untold dividends, not only to our region, but to our state. And all corners of our state are going to be represented by this. And I know that my House, the Senate, has been very supportive of this program for all of our university centers. But I am so thrilled to see it happen here, because you're going to see things happen at this magnificent university, the like of which we've never seen before. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Assemblyman?
Governor, I'm very pleased to be here. I don't think there has been a time in my memory when this dynamic transformational program was presented with such drive and such energy and such direction. And one of the things that's making it different is not just the new technology that many of us didn't even know about a decade ago, but also the way that the business community has been allowed to give the benefits of their experience, of entrepreneurship, of imagination, and create a marriage of the private sector with the academic sector. I think there were merits in both for many years and in government as well, but the silos that Michael Tucker talked about, that we don't go there, that's their job and we have ours, really put New York State at a disadvantage. And when you actually perform that kind of a marriage of those communities, then they speak well of each other because they finally understand each other. I can remember in my many years of public life when I would listen to business leaders who would run down New York State, forgetting their job was also to build us up. I think a lot of people didn't come to New York State because they, being in the private sector, would say, what does business say? And when business says, don't stay here or don't come here, then they have more credibility than any government or non-for-profit or institution. To have that marriage where they are fellow travelers, if you will, and partners has worked so well, not just with nanotech, but in so many ways. And the economic development councils that are regional have gone across the state. I think people see a new energy, a new drive, and a new commitment. And this, I'm just very pleased that it's happening here literally in my backyard. And as much as it means to keep it affordable and to keep it diverse in terms of both its faculty and its student body, I think the greatest investment and the greatest numbers are not the ones that we just saw of jobs and dollars, but the future that's going to be created, because the spin-off of this is just the seed of a tremendous harvest for our future in a global economy.
Thank you. Well said. Well said. And as the Chancellor knows, this approach, this program has been a partnership with our colleagues in the Senate and the Assembly. We worked on this program together. and it's been mutually supported, and it's really, I think, one of the more innovative, exciting ideas that we've come up with. So I want to thank the Senator and the Assemblyman for being with us. I don't have any other questions. Well, maybe one other question. Do you have any complaints that you'd like to share, either with the leadership of the mayor's office or the county executive's office, or anything of that kind that you would like to bring up? We're always eager for those little tidbits, especially about the mayor. Very impressive. I'm sure we'll have some issues and some questions as we go into the details, but I want to thank you very much. And at this time, let me ask the press if they have any questions on what they've heard. It'd be our pleasure.
Governor, what sort of incentives outside of the New York City 2020 plan, perhaps a tax incentive, how far are you guys willing to go to help bring technology and business to New York?
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. We want to do it the other way. You tell me what it takes to bring business here, and that's what we'll do. You know, we're trying to flip the approach. In the past, the state would say, well, this is what we're offering, and if this is what you want, then you come here. We're trying to take a different approach. You tell me what it takes to bring the business here, and that's the package we'll work on.
Some of the other SUNY plans have more direct impact on the community. In Buffalo, they have a downtown revitalization as part of their plan. You Albany, one time, wanted to redevelop what is known in town as the student ghetto. I don't see that as part of this plan. How's the community going to benefit, just the average person who's not associated with the university, from this plan?
Well, first and foremost, the jobs and the economic activity benefits everyone. The mayor may want to chime in, but if you're generating revenue and people are paying taxes and you're creating jobs and there's a positive energy for the place and more businesses are coming, that's the best thing you can do. The best thing you can do for the county or for the city is to generate more tax revenue and a stronger base. The best thing you can do for an individual or a family or a young person is say there's an economic future and there's a job at the end. So that's the most powerful benefit that you can give a community. I would argue that your point is more ancillary, you know, is where is a building going to be is nice, but this is about the jobs. It's not about building a building. Any questions on anything else?
Governor, your Lieutenant Bob Duffy suggested today that you're working on a plan to aid upstate cities, some of which are in serious financial straits. Could you offer details about that, what you're thinking about?
Nope.
Do you recognize that there's a problem? Are you, in fact, formulating a plan?
Yes. Albany City gets nothing, by the way, whatever plan we come up with. Just so we're clear from the get-go. I don't want Mayor Jennings to get his hopes up or his hands out. We understand the situation that the upstate cities have a terrible, in some cases, financial pressures. And we understand that, and we're looking at a number of approaches, Jimmy, on how we can help them. And again, it's not, you know, all upstate cities are not in the same boat, and there are different issues in different cities. So we're looking at various approaches on how to help cities, more on an individual basis than a collective basis. And that's primarily for the agenda next year.
Will that be in the budget, or will that be separate?
It depends what we come up with. We're not at that point yet.
And since we're, I think, about 6 weeks from Election Day, have you thought at all about, or can you provide more details on the push for campaign finance reform? You suggested that would be coming this autumn.
Yes. Well, it's something I've supported almost all through my career. It's something I supported last year. It's something I would like to see passed and made a reality in the state of New York. The question will be at what time, what's the best time to do it from a legislative point of view. I've been talking to the legislative leaders about it. I've been talking to my colleagues in the legislature about it for 21 months now. So it's something we're going to try to get passed. Obviously, we have to have a legislative session to entertain it, but it's my expectation that it'll be a topic in the next legislative session.
You expect it to be a special session on it?
I don't know. On campaign finance, no. Alone, no. Whether or not there is a special session at all is also up in the air. Part of it is, Jimmy, you need the election to happen, right? Because you need to know who's in charge first before you can have the conversation.
Governor, my question is, speaking of economic development upstate, when is there going to be a decision on hydrofracking? It's been out there for a couple of years almost now, and the DEC report came out about a year ago, but we still haven't heard anything.
You know, Kyle, when they're ready, I never set a deadline for DEC. I said do it right, and when you have completed an intelligent, thorough process, then you should announce your decision. I didn't want an artificial deadline.
Governor, the business community has been very outspoken about this throughway hike and tolls. Lots of assembly meetings about it, public hearings. Have you had any conversations with the Thruway Authority? At this point, it looks like you'd be the only one who could step in to encourage them to reconsider.
Encouragement is a good thing, I think. I believe in positive encouragement. They are reviewing. I have not spoken to the Thruway Authority about it. They've had a number of hearings, as you said. They're having a number of meetings. They're looking at alternatives. They're looking at different financial scenarios, but I have not spoken to them yet. They're very well aware of the burden. They're very well aware of everything we've been trying to do in this administration and the signal we've been trying to send to the business community. That's what we've been doing with our budgets, with our whole fiscal responsibility campaign. So they get it. I can assure you of that. There's also a flip side, right? And the business leaders especially will understand this. The Thruway Authority needs to keep their bond rating. If the finances for the Thruway Authority are shaky, their credit rating can be downgraded. That will then wind up costing the people of this state more money in the long term. We have some big projects that we're in the midst of, big infrastructure projects, Tappan Zee Bridge, et cetera. So this is not the time to lose the credit rating for the Thruway Authority. So that is the balance, right? It's easy to say there should be no toll increase. That's easy. It's harder to say we need to keep the finances of the Thruway Authority stable, and we need to operate the Thruway, and it needs to be safe, and it needs to be repaired, and we have to clear the snow, and we need a reasonable toll. So that's what we're trying to work through.
Governor, the Division of Budget earlier this week put out a letter suggesting, actually recommending 0% state agency increases in spending in the coming fiscal year. What sort of advice do you have for your commissioners who are putting together their budgets right now and how they can achieve?
I would say, Nick, they're lucky it's zero. Zero is high to me. Zero is high. We have a close to $1 billion deficit, right? That's where we ended last year. We closed a $10 billion deficit at one time, but we still have a $1 billion deficit projected for next year, $900 million. So well, people say, well, it's only $1 billion. I know, but $1 billion is still money. It has a B. It's real money. So to close $1 billion deficit, you're going to have to go through what we went through last time. Not as hard, not as dramatic, not as difficult, but it is still below zero, right? It's a $1 billion deficit. So zero would mean same funding as last year. Yeah, and we're going to need $1 billion on top of that.
In that 2% spending cap, as it were, that you've set for the next coming budgets?
Well, you'd almost have to, right? We have deficit situations. We have a deficit next year, as you point out. We have a larger deficit the year after, right? The taxes sunset. So we are not going to be in a position to spend money. You know, we're not projecting a year where we're above zero, right? We're not projecting a surplus. That's the only time you would really get to significant spending. We'd love to have that problem, mind you, but we don't have it now.
Governor, are there any signs that deficit, the projected deficits are growing given uncertainties in the economy and the numbers showing any kind of changes?
Glenn, our numbers are, it's about where it was. You know, it'll go up. Every time I see Bob Megna, I ask the question. He runs the other way now when he sees me. But, you know, we've had periods where it's gone up a little bit, it's gone down a little bit, but it's basically where we projected.
Governor, the Comptroller yesterday put out the August cash report that showed that, I guess, tax receipts were lower than projected and they were less than a year ago. Are you concerned by that?
On our numbers, we are roughly where we had projected to be, Kyle. Again, there have been fluctuations within the past year. We've had better months, we've had worse months, but we're about where we projected to be. So we'll see at the end of the year. You know, otherwise you can take any 1 month and project out from there, I think is a mistake. We're not seeing any rapid increase or decrease. Okay? Again, thank you all very much. Chancellor, thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor.